Hello, I'd like to read something from my book, Dying to Live, How Near-Death Experiences Transform Our Faith, by Nigel W.D. Mumford. I'm the author. This is my 6th or 7th book, I forget, but I'd like to share a passage, or one of the chapters on visions. As you may know, I was in a coma for 3 weeks with the swine flu, and the Lord showed me some amazing things. So this is from chapter 5, Dying to Live, Visions. In the last days, God says, I will pour out my spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your young men will see visions. Your old men will dream dreams. Acts 2:17. Vision 1, Revelation. The living waters. He will lead them to springs of living water, and God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. Revelation 7:17. The first vision was a single blade of grass, so green, so perfect, so lovely. It seemed that I looked at that blade of grass forever. After all, I had forever to look at it. I was surprised about its beauty and texture, its form and exquisite detail. I was focused on that single blade of grass with no distractions whatsoever. It was a perfect blade of grass, the perfect introduction to heaven. I looked at that single blade of grass for a very long time. I saw its beauty, the colour, the texture. Then, as if on a movie screen, the lens pulled back to reveal more and more blades of grass, all perfect, all different, all perfectly still. The perfection of God upon the earth of his creation. Was I actually looking at thousands of blades of grass or thousands of souls? I don't know. I then saw 3 white tulips in a well-manicured garden. The soil around it was groomed to perfection, with not one speck of soil out of place. I looked, I observed. Was I looking at the Trinity? Was that God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit? All was quiet. There was no sound. Pure silence. The perfect petals of the tulips were exquisite. Sadly, I have no recall of the sense of smell, just absolute beauty in a blade of grass, in the raised arms of the blades of grass. The 3 white tulips, the grass praising God, and heaven and nature praising the glory of the Lord. Then the lens pulled back again, widening to reveal 3 granite steps, perfect in every way, the perfection of the kingdom. The sun was bright. I looked and I saw a path. There was my house. It was made of glass, held together by fire engine red angle iron. The red was brilliant, the glass clean and perfect. The house was formed like a diamond, that is, the walls were not vertical. The bottom and the top of the house were V-shaped. I walked on the glass floor. There was no kitchen. Instead, each room had a hole in the floor where a golden chalice hung from a golden chain. I bent down, grasped the golden chalice, and scooped up the living water that ran slowly through the house. It was the most delicious meal I've ever tasted. Vision 2. The Book of Life. Another book was opened, which is the Book of Life, Revelations 20, verse 12. It was dark, very dark. I was incredibly peaceful and reclined in a zero-gravity chair position in a hospital bed. The next thing I knew, I was rising up off the bed. I don't remember the ceiling. I just went up in the night air. I did not feel anything touching me. It just felt normal. No stress. Actually, it was a very good feeling. It just felt normal. Then I looked and I saw the stars. It was all so clear. The dark was very dark. The individual stars, in contrast, were very bright indeed. I continued to be raised up, now in slow motion, as I took in the amazing view. Then I stopped, and I just floated miles above the earth. I remember trying to turn my head to the left and realizing my head was being blocked. It was as if I was not allowed to look back. That is the past. This is the now. You have no need to look back, no time for goodbyes. So I just looked up and out. Then I saw her horizontal bar appear a long way off. It moved from the center, growing out for about a mile. Then it continued straight up on both sides, rising up for about 6 miles. Then the line stopped and traveled towards each other. They connected, and the stars then formed in perfect line, each one a brilliant light, almost too bright to look at. Still, I kept looking in awe and wonder. What was this? I did not understand at first, but I knew I was supposed to see it. I looked into each light, not really knowing what it was. Then I understood it was the book of life. Each light was a soul. I looked below each light, expecting to see the details of each soul. I thought it would be like a huge scrapbook with the details posted and a little sign under each person. Not so. I had to look into each light to meet that soul and to see that person's history. I just had to look to understand. I felt I was being introduced to the whole company of heaven by being shown the book of life. As I read, the pages turned from the bottom right corner slowly, like a huge sail. I could feel the wind as each page moved. I could not see the left page, but I looked at each light on the right-hand page. I looked at those pages for a very long time, page after page, soul after soul, all written in the book of life. I just lay there in the anti-gravity position, looking. I was neither hot nor cold nor hungry. I just met each soul, thousands on each page. Then the page would turn again. I must have seen millions and millions of souls. There were several other visions I had. One crawling through the valley of the shadow of death. One about the table before me. Another one in my father's house and many rooms. And I tell you, having had that experience is really life-changing, to say the least. So, dying to live, how near-death experiences transform our faith. I wrote this book after 3 months in hospital, 3 weeks in a coma, 3 months in the ICU, recovering from the swine flu. As my friend Bishop Dave Benner wrote, this book, dear friends, is the blessing God has meant for you and for me. Be well, do good works, and for the sake of God, love one another. Amen.